standing. All the lads and lasses there, all the smiling faces, gathering along the Scotswood Road to see the bleeding races. We went to bleeding races.
Oh, it's back through Bartes!
1962 on a summer's afternoon, we took the bus from Bambras and she was heavy laden. Where we went along Collingwood Street, that's on the road to Bladen. Whoa, me lads, you should have seen us gunning, passing the folks along the road just as they were standing. All the lads and lasses there, always smiling faces, gunning along the Scotswood Road to see the bleeding races.
Yes, people, what's going on, people? John Sinclair TV back again this afternoon, 5 o'clock. I've got two guests, my co-host Tony, and I've got a special full-time YouTuber, Mr. Adam Pearson. Adam, how are you, mate?
Cheers, John. It's always great to be back on. First time I'm with Tony as well, so it's great to be on with both of you. So thank you so much. I'm doing well. Obviously, with the news at the minute, it's just one of those sort of ones where it's going to be a couple of weeks before Newcastle come back. But yeah, sometimes there's bigger things in life than the football, and it's just kind of one of them ones, really.
Well said, well said. I couldn't said any better than that, my guy. So if you do like the video, like what you see, then please hit the like button. Also have to hit the subscribe button. So if you are new, and I know there's few Adam fans in here in the chat as well. If you like to super chat, then click on the $sign. And if you like to become a member, it's 99p. Just use Certify Android and also use your Google on laptop as well if you just become a member. Before we start the show, unfortunately, because of legal reasons, we've not been mentioning someone's name on here on the channel. So if you've got any questions about that particular person, it will not get read out at all whatsoever. The reason is, I had a tweet off him. He's watching the show, and if anything goes wrong, he could take legal action. It's not going to happen anytime soon. So we'll not be mentioning his name. I know he was at this point, and also please keep your tweets, your messages respectfully as well. Go for the comments. Big up I Like Coffee. You're first. Hiya to you. So I hope you're okay. And it's only a matter of time before war flags on field join the Adam P banner on the leases.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not saying anything to that. Thank you.
No problem. And Alan, 10 should not be used because I'm worse than the NUJ. Backstab it. All he did was lose credit since I kept on terribly. People are reporters. Okay, cool. And see exactly what we mean. Afternoon to Sefton. Hi to Sean. Sorry, and I can't do that one out, mate. But the answer to that question is no. I'm afraid not. And hi to Sefton as well. And it's brilliant to meet you at Tranmere.
Cheers. I enjoyed that one. It wasn't a great game, but winning was the most important part.
Big up, big up. And Pablo. And evening to you, mate. So like I say, Adams, keep doing what you're doing. Don't let anyone stop you doing what you love. Well said, Pablo. Well said. Big up to Goat Faber. Hope you're okay, mate. Big up to George Eaton. Big up to Leslie. Big up to Gareth. Julie J. Big up to you. Hope you're okay. And what do we most watch it? Even please keep the comments respectful. Thank you so much indeed. You also watched your streams earlier on. And so, no, I can't read that, but thank you very much indeed. And Chippers is in the room as well. Hi to you. And Danielle as well. Big up to Danielle. Love your vlogs from the weekends. Alan, keep up the great work, mate.
Cheers, Danielle. I hope you're doing well.
Thank you very much indeed, Daniel, for coming. Right, we're going to start first, right? I mean, the Qatar, right? I mean, me and Todd chatted about it off there, right? And Tony, I mean, you're not very happy about this, being Qatar. I mean, doing students as well. Tell us more, man.
Well, I've put a tweet out there this afternoon with a little snippet from Good Morning Britain on Thursday. If anybody hasn't seen it, go on, catch up and watch it. Very interesting. From what they were saying there about Qatar, about the World Cup. But previously, before this, I've done a lot of looking into this anyway. Now, we've got a lot of journalists and media, and we know this, and fans from other clubs out there who have nothing but slate our Saudi owners. And they're always calling out human rights from Saudi Arabia. Now, look at Qatar's World Cup a bit more closely And you'll see in that human rights are violated worse there than they are in Saudi Arabia. Now, people have died building these stadiums. People have fell from the tops of the roofs when they're building these stadiums. Some of these people are on £2 per day, £2 per day for working 12-hour shifts and dropping to their deaths because there's no proper health and safety there, no proper equipment for them. You know, an absolute disregard to human life whatsoever that is. And not only that, they've got migrant workers there as well. And if they don't pull their weight in 40 degrees plus heat there, they're deported and sent back to that country because then they're deemed not good enough to work. It's an absolute disgrace. And how a World Cup can be held there is beyond me. And the thing is, when you get the likes of Gary Lineker, Oliver Holt, all these other journalists and media who all slate us, thing is, they don't say nothing about Qatar. And the reason why is because, one, they'll be staying in top-class 5-star hotels over there, getting dinner, bed and breakfast, everything laid on for them. Secondly, they'll be sitting in nice hospitality boxes, getting fed, watered and everything. So they're not going to say nothing against Qatar, apart from, oh, it's a great country and, you know, they've built these great stadiums and everything, without realising how bad it actually is. But as soon as we've done anything, or as soon as something happens, they're straight on us like anything, you know, they're boom, straight into us. So if you haven't checked it out, go and check it out because it really is a good watch. And like I say, also, Qatar is worse than Saudi Arabia because, like I say, I've looked a lot into it. And for somebody working for 12 hours a day for £2, some of them get £4, depending on what job they're doing. But that is absolutely disgraceful, you know. I mean, gosh, I go to work and I probably earn £2 within 15 minutes of working, you know, or whatever. So, you know, people like that to be working 12 hours a day to getting that sort of money, it's just, it's scandalous. And the thing is, human rights don't stop there because it's all around the world, you know. Everybody's got skeletons in their closets, you know. I mean, you go back in our history in this country, we've got it goes dates back hundreds of years. We were bringing slaves in and things like that. So, you know, these journalists don't look into history very well. It's because when you're castrated, they're frightened of us getting bigger. The cartel, who are the top 6, they're frightened of us as well. That's why a lot of these far decisions are going against us, because they're frightened that we're coming for them. And as I've said to you, John, we're a juggernaut. We'll start off at slow speed, but we're starting to speed up. But when we get the top speed, we're going to crash right through that top 6. And then they not know what's going to hit them. And that's what's going to happen. So at the end of the day, all I'm saying is these journalists need to take a hard, long look at ourselves. Before you start calling us, look at other countries first. You don't throw stones at glass houses.
Well said, Tony. Would you go that, Adam? I mean, do you think Tony is right? And there's a lot of things going on in a minute. Again, they're digging out our owners again for very little reason, like, you know, for just to buy a club. Oliver Holt is one of them again, dissing our club again, right? And Luke Edwards has come out last week or so saying that he doesn't ever want to see us playing in the white and green shirt ever again.
Yeah, well, the point obviously people are trying to make here is whether people are hypocrites towards Newcastle, and the answer is yes, they are. They clearly are. You see how people react in social media. I mean, a lot of people that slag Newcastle off before the takeout didn't like Newcastle in the first place. So it's kind of like an opportunity for them to dig in Newcastle even more. I think Miguel Delaney, I think he's called the Man U journalist. He's one of the worst ones I've seen. It constantly, every chance he gets, he slags the club off, or he calls out these Saudi Arabia owners. He's just constantly just trying to just dig into Newcastle. You see this all the time. You've seen all the different examples said there. Obviously, with Qatar, with the World Cup being on this year, it's the first time I think in history that's been played in December. They've actually went out of their way to change the date of the World Cup just so we can have it in Qatar. So they really wanted to have it there, despite the fact of how poorly run the country is, how terrible the workers are, and how the stadiums are built, etc. Got all those different issues already, and it's just going to have a massive effect over the course of Christmas time. But just in general, yes, a lot of people are hypocrites towards Newcastle. You see them come out and slag us off, but they don't look at Manchester City. They look at Wolves. Our owners in the league are from China and Qatar themselves. So you don't look at our owners in the league. You don't look at our owners in general. I mean, PSG last season, he had a Qatar themed kit. And as far as I'm aware, that wasn't mentioned anywhere. But Newcastle was Saudi Arabia themed kit, and all of a sudden everyone's piping up about it. It's one of those sort of ones where these people will just slag Newcastle off no matter what now. And it's one of them ones where we can't really do anything about it. People are going to continue to come out and bash the club. But in reality, it's just how it's going to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, sadly, it's going to happen, Adam, I'm afraid. But one of these days, like to say, we're like a job at our time will come. And once our time will come, once we got our first trophy, we're just going to keep winning and winning and winning. And we buy better players along the way as well, whether the top six likes it or not. Sefton's got a question for you, Adam. Would Adam work for the club full time in the communications? I think you'd be good at that, Adam.
So I've had those sort of questions a few times about the club. But I'm not going to answer it because I don't know if I'll ever get it. Maybe I'll probably say yes, to be honest. But yeah, it's whether it'll ever happen or not, and I'm not too sure. So
fair enough. Any questions for Adam? Then please fire away. But like we said, we cannot talk about a particular's name, unfortunately, on my show. Saudis have bid for the next World Cup, by the way. Tony, I've not known that at all whatsoever.
Yeah, I saw that the other day, John. You know, so if Qatar can get it, Saudi Arabia can get it. Why not? You know, but yeah, I saw that the other day. I don't know which World Cup it is they're bidding for, but I know they're putting in for it because I think we're bidding for the 2030 World Cup along with Ireland as well. So let's see how that goes. But to be honest with you, I'd be surprised if we get the World Cup over here after last year's Euros.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But so that's what they're going to keep our eye open for. If they get it, well done, Saudi Arabia. And don't stand us by these so-called high moral F-twits. That's a fair shout. Well said, Tony. That's in Gareth. And the same with this Liverpool fan on Twitter. Didn't like Newcastle in the first place, so it's an easy store to throw at us. The all is, Julie, right? I don't particularly like Liverpool now. I don't, right? I can't lie. Jurgen Klopp, I don't like him. They think he's untouchable, but the problem is the Premier League are scared of him, right? Everything he says is allowed to go. Yeah, Jesse Marsh got sent off doing exactly the same thing. They are so scared of Jurgen Klopp, yeah? But for that game, Adam, obviously you went to that game at Liverpool, right? 8 minutes of added on time. Do you think it was corrupt by the referee? Do you think, 8 minutes was worth it? Because I didn't think it was.
Well, the whistle should have been blown, yes, 100%. The game should not have lasted that long. I still look back at that game and I feel like we should have done better with the ball. We were the reason why the corner was getting away. Trippier played a bad pass and it's led to a corner, which I think, to be fair, as I said before, the game should have ended, but I also think Newcastle should have prevented the corner and that's kind of led to that equaliser, or that winning goal, sorry. So, yeah, it's terrible. I don't want to think about that Liverpool game anymore. I'll be honest, I got out of my system now. As for Klopp, Liverpool themselves, they've had a terrible season there. Let's be real. I'd be surprised if Klopp can pull it back around in a minute. I don't know what's going on in Liverpool, whether it's the injuries, whether it's the fact they're sort of Mane, but something's not clicking well for them and they're in serious trouble.
I think it's down to Mane as well. Mane has been sorely missed. Big miss. More so, in my opinion. I mean, he's not playing well at all this season. You look at his touching against Napoli. His ball control is woeful, by the way. I can't lie. And he just hasn't been at it this season. Since he signed that new contract, $400K a week, if you believe the reports there, he hasn't been playing well at all whatsoever. Personally, when you left on his contract, and look, it is all it is. Liverpool are paying that sort of money, cool. But at the end of the day, right, the players won yet again. Aren't United sponsored by Sony? Go on, Tony.
There's one key thing in that, John, why Salah's not playing well, because his mate's gone to Bayern Munich money. Since he's lost money, he's looked a totally different player.
Agree.
So if you look at that now with him and Nunes, it doesn't work.
Totally agree. And selling Mane for what, 32 million quid to Bayern Munich, they must be laughing. And I think Mane's still a world-class player. I don't get anyone say it. Like, this guy is brilliant. And I think they need to keep Salah happy. If they don't, they got a problem. Aren't Man U sponsored by Saudi money? Yes, they are part of it as well. And how did Adam become a Newcastle fan? But I like coffee.
Well, my dad's a Newcastle fan. I pretty much live in Newcastle, so there you go. My local culture, shall we say?
Cool stuff. Especially on football as football, politics as politics, and never the twain shall meet. But that applies both ways. That's an Ian. That's fair shout there, mate. Thanks. And there you go. It's not the next World Cup. It's in 2030. 2026, I think it's in America, Canada, if memory serves it's right.
Yeah.
And just a bit of news on the state final, September the 19th. Suspect next week will be postponed too. So, what's the date today? It's the 10th today, isn't it? So,
Monday,
yeah,
Yes.
that'll be a Monday.
Bank holiday Monday.
Yeah, so be no working then. And I think it's a good idea. They won't have 2 World Cups out of 3 in the Middle East. And going to the Queen's Fields on Monday, yeah, we got that. And even people still talking about the refs and VAR. We're going to get on to Alan's point in a bit. That Liverpool goal alongside should have dived at the ball and heated the boot. And big up to Andy as well. Coming home this summer for Miami, the immigration officer asked Lars Farm, well, I say Newcastle, the RCL thought Eddie Howe would make a difference. Clearly, he already had. And talking off Eddie Howe, Tony, since he's come through the door, he's done brilliant.
Oh, Johnny's been an absolute breath of fresh air. I mean, you know, there was a lot of fans. You saw it when Eddie Howe was coming in, and they were like, "Oh, all this money we've got, and we're bringing Eddie Howe in." And you know, and what I said to a lot of people at the time was, "You say that, but we need somebody who can keep us in that league, because yeah, it's all right. We could have brought in a big name manager, say Conte or somebody like that, could have come in, but what guarantees would he have if battling a relegation? I mean, how many of these managers, if top class managers come in, have ever been in a relegation battle? That's what you've got to ask yourself first of all. Now, Eddie Howe's been in a few of them with Bournemouth, and he's done well with Bournemouth. But then you look at his track record after he left Bournemouth. He went to see Sarri at Juve. Then he went to see Simeone. Then he went to see Klopp. Stood on the training ground with all these managers, you know, picking up different tips on the way. So, and it's made him become a better manager than he was when he was at Bournemouth. Mm-hmm. And I always said, I'll back this guy 100% when he comes in the club. I mean, I for once didn't think Eddie Howe would come to the club. I mean, he was linked to Celtic, and he's actually said the only reason he turned down Celtic was because he couldn't guarantee getting all his backroom staff in. Because I think at the time when he was Celtic, I think when Celtic wanted him, I think Jason Tindall was Bournemouth manager, if I'm right in saying that. So obviously at the time he couldn't get everybody in that he wanted. But I think Eddie Howe's done an amazing job. He's done brilliant. You know, not only kept us up, John, because I would have been happy last season if we'd finished 17th place after the start we had. I would have been happy with 17th place, you know, as long as we were out of that bottom three. That's all that I was worried about. But to finish 11th place and quite comfortable after not winning in the first 14 games, remarkable achievement. And it does remind you of the days of Kevin Keegan, you know, what Keegan done for us. You know, I remember back in the 90s, you know, I even remember the game, I think it was Swindon Town we played at home in half-time. Keegan didn't turn back up in the dugout. And I was next to the dugouts and I was thinking, well, where's Keegan gone? And that's when he stormed off over transfer funds with John Hall. But, you know, and Eddie Howe's got those similarities. And so, yeah, he's done well keeping us up. And, you know, we've got off to an okay start this season. At least we've actually won a game as well. So, which is the main thing. We should have won a few more, but we've just been done by VAR, unfortunately, and dodgy refereeing.
Yeah, absolutely right. Totally agree again. And, yeah, you know what it is, right? I mean, you know, like you said, we were comfortable last season. We're doing out the season and needing more games. Got a question from Adam from Sefton. What is the best away stadium have you ever been to?
Probably Emirates. I really like Arsenal. There's just something about Arsenal when you go there. It's just you feel that presence there. They are really good grounds. I would say Arsenal. Probably I've been to all the ones in the Premier League with the exception of the newly promoted teams. So. Yeah, I like Arsenal. I like Chelsea. City's got a nice ground, but we lose there like 5 every time, so I'm not the biggest fan of that one. The rest of them are just okay. Probably Chelsea, Arsenal, City, probably my 3 favourite ones.
Fair enough. People say, from me, if I asked the question, is our best away I've been, then people say, "Oh, it's going to say Old Trafford." No, they all say that, don't they?
I agree with Adam on Arsenal one because that is a nice ground. To be fair, the last game I went there was 10 years ago and we got beat 2-1, and no, Arsenal's an all right ground. I thought Swansea was probably the most welcoming ground I've been to, if I'm honest, because at Swansea you've got a pub outside the ground, and I remember going there and I saw a load of Swansea fans in that in there, and I sat the guy on the door, I'm all right to go, and he went, "Yeah, of course, everybody's welcome." And do you know what? There was no trouble whatsoever. One of the worst grounds I would say is Bolton. We've got a harvester right next door to the ground. You're not allowed in because it's for home fans only. You've got to walk a mile and a half along to the other pub. So for not being very welcome is Bolton. But yeah, Swansea was a nice ground as well.
I can remember once upon a time I went to Bolton, right? I went to a pub, right? And he goes, "Hi, mate." So I said, "I'm Canny." So I went in the pub, and he goes to us, "Where are you from, mate?" And I said, "I live in Bristol, mate." But Newcastle fans said, "No, you're not coming in, mate. Come." I said, "Oh, hang on a minute. I'm not causing bother." Right? It's 3 doormen, right? Trying to do 2 hours each, right? One of them, no word of a lie, thought about taking us something. "Oh, I'm not going to take him on sort of thing." They let us stay in. They let us stay in the pub. Right, and I'm thinking, look, at the end of the day, it's not so don't cause bother. Just to get a Diet Coke. That is it, because I'm thirsty. I'll drive a long flipping way. I'll be 5 minutes. Go put down. Here we go. Yeah, and that was it. So picky, right? I mean, Bolton for me is the least welcoming. I can't lie. Adam, where do you think Newcastle will finish in the league? According to Roger.
Well, I've seen a lot of people saying top 8. Newcastle will get European football in their first proper season under the takeover. For me, I've always put it just outside. That's somewhere between 9th and 12th. I think Newcastle have a good season, but I think due to the injuries, well, in fact, it completely dictates on the injuries. It's whether players like Sim-Maximum, Wilson, Bruno, those sort of players can stay fit. I think will completely dictate our season. So if you can stay fit, and yeah, I think top 8 is potentially possible, but chances are somebody is going to get injured at some point. So I'm going to stick with 9th to 12th. I think it's going to be a very good season, but not quite as high as some people might expect.
Yeah, and thing is, so you got to keep Bruno happy as well because he wants to finish high as possible. Like, you know what I mean, with the players we've got. So we're going to be seeing on that one. I had a coffee. I'm so grateful Adam, P, and Eddie are covering other aspects of Newcastle, like the women's team, behind the scenes of the club, the local area. Their content fills the gap between club and fans worldwide. That's a beautiful words there. I like coffee. Absolutely brilliant. And big up to Sean and Paul Tully. Basically saying hi to you, mate. Pop and say hello with our work again. Agree with Tony there. Howe's done what good coaches do and visit other coaches and spend time getting better at himself. Absolutely spot on. Question for Adam: who's your favourite player and why? That is from the Warfather.
I get this one quite a bit as well. I had to say Sim-Maximum because, well, I mean, for me, for example, he always helps me out my channel, so it's always great actually just be able to speak to a Newcastle player, so that's great. So yeah, it's always going to be him because he has a very close connection to me. But as for all players, I like just the obvious ones for you, Joelinton, Bruno, those sort of ones.
Cool. A question that again from Gareth as well. Has he ever been in a dangerous situation with opposition fans?
As far as I'm aware, no, I wouldn't say so. Obviously, I don't want to jinx myself, but no, I wouldn't say I've been in that sort of situation yet.
Champion. I love the new style Adam brings at the start of his videos. Give us eyebrow raise, Adam.
Thank you, Andy.
Bless him. Paul, I'm not going to read the next comment out because I said I'm not going to mention his name, but I see exactly where you come from, mate. Yeah, because it has to be great. So I see what you mean, Paul, but I can't say it on the air, mate, because he is going to be watching the streams as well. And it's for legal reasons too, but I do wish him he gets better as well. Big up to Jules, by the way, from Norway. Hope you're okay. And having fun in Norway. Big up to Stu, my guy. Everyone's alright. I'm absolutely great. And Jules, dude, everyone's saying hi to Jules. And is Adam P a dressing room name now?
Well, I don't know if the players talk about me in the dressing room. I don't know that part. Obviously, some of the players do know me, but some of them don't. So I'll probably say no to that question. I don't think I've been split around in the team dressing room.
Fair enough. Tony, question for you. I mean, speaking of Big Joe, talk Joelinton. Thoughts on Joe not yet making the Brazil squad. I said first for Tony. In my opinion, right, I think there's 10 other midfielders before Joelinton would get into that team. Because at the end of the day, even though he's been fantastic, I think he's been brilliant for the club. And he is absolutely amazing for us. Personally, I don't think he's going to miss the cut. What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, well, you say that there's 10 midfielders ahead of him, John, but, you know, any midfielder could be out of form all of a sudden. And then, you know, I still don't think Fred is the greatest midfielder. And I certainly think Joelinton's possibly ahead of him. If you watch Fred for Man United, he doesn't look that great. And the C play is different for Brazil, but, you know, obviously the Brazil manager's probably looked at Joelinton, but what he might be thinking is, right, okay, so we've seen him play this midfield role for just over half a season. Now he's playing it in his first full season. He might want to see a first full season out of him first and then go on his stats and say, right, okay, I want to see all the stats on what Joelinton's done over the full season, and then he may bring him in. But then who knows? I mean, they may have another friendly come up after this one, and he may think, oh, I'll just put him in and see how he does. But I don't think he's going to make the World Cup, if I'm honest. I'd love to see him in that squad, if you know. But I mean, you're right. There is midfielders ahead of him, but then you know, it just shows you though. You see it in World Cups and different squads and that. There's always one player who comes in out of nowhere, and then go, you know, and surprises people on the world scene. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I'll look at the Syrian national team squad. And let's have a look quickly. And there's 7 of them already, I believe. And there's Casemiro, Bukata, Gamache, Rafinha, Coutinho, Vinicius Jr. and Everton Ribeiro. Those are his 7 midfielders at the middle at the 23. So the chance of Joelinton, for me personally, I don't think he's going to get in, unfortunately. But I'd love him to get in there. Would you like to see that, Adam?
Well, yeah, definitely. I love seeing Newcastle players do well in the national team. Now, you just said there, the problem with Brazil has been that I have a star-studded squad, so it'll be quite hard for a player Joelinton to sort of pop in there. He's been great since Eddie Howe's came in, but that's still only been just less than a year now, so he's still quite new, you could say, to the midfield role. And it's one of those ones where it's going to take time. I think, as Tony said before, actually, about 1 full season, I think that's true. He gets a chance to be a full season, then chances are, if he plays well again, then the manager would look towards and bring him into the squad. For now, though, there's just too many midfielders. It's a case where, you know, get past the tournament, see how Brazil do, and then you rethink some of the choices he made in the squad. So I think it's a bit of a slow burner for him, but for now, no, I don't think he'll make the World Cup.
Fair enough. I have to agree with you guys as well. But I know Fridge is not playing well at the minute, and going back to the old Fridge for Man United. I said it the Brazilian way, but there you go. Big up to the Heat Army, by the way. Do hit the subscribe button, mate. So I hope you're okay and your chance going from strength to strength, I'm sure. And how's it going, guys? Adam, good to have you on the show. Regarding that guy on Twitter, I know him, mate, and there's always going to be Heat Eyes. Remember, that guy made a video on YouTube a couple of months ago, and Jag, we know who it is. We're not going to mention his name, but thank you for coming on anyway, mate. This is kind of Gareth, by the way. Myself, Paul, and Alan's best Newcastle channels on YouTube. Thank you so much, Gareth. I really appreciate your settlement on your endorsement, my guy. Keeping it warm and out the shop window for the bigger clubs. Rather Big Joe wait a year till we get our squad quality increase. I think it's 26 now. I need Joelinton 26. And realistic prediction from Adam, we've been taught in this channel along the window. We are 2 signed for top 7, but however, couldn't happen wing and midfield. But we still got a chance through January. Can you see the team that's going to come through in January, mate?
Yeah, I would say 2 signs at least in January. I don't know about reaching top 7 afterwards. It depends where we are when the window opens. But yeah, for Newcastle, we're signing 5 players with Carriers now, so it's going to be 6 really, that emergency signing. I think it's been a good win for Newcastle. Now, I know some fans wanted more. For example, we didn't loan any players out. For me, I think we should have loaned somebody out personally. But it's one of them ones where the club has tried, where a lot of people have been taught no from all sorts of different clubs. Eddie Howe said in the press conference has been quite frustrating at times trying to bring players in. You get clubs that have inflated prices. He's outright said that teams in the Premier League haven't helped Newcastle out. So it's been one of them where the clubs had to be smart about who we bring in. We've been very patient with Botman. That one took 2 transfer windows. We eventually got him in. Isak, of course, we got him out of nowhere, really. But again, Newcastle had to look at our options before he went in for him. I think the window is good. I've been happy with all the signings. I think we spent about £120 million, and I don't think any Newcastle fan can complain with that in one transfer window. So I think it's been good. Yes, okay, we could have got a couple more players, but it's one of those sort of ones where the club will look at how players are this season. We've already seen firsthand about how injuries can sort of pile up in the team. The club will rethink it, go back in the window in January, and they will sign more players. It's just what they're going to do.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, like people saying that, we're not getting more signings, saying now for our business is done, Tony, right? We said all along, right, for days and days, weeks and weeks, that it's going to be a surprise signing through the door. And exactly what we said a couple of days after that, we said it, exactly what happens, yeah. Alex Isak, come to Newcastle, the 63 million quid, right? They kept it so quiet, right? This signing, I've been asking for this guy to be signed for us. This is the player I wanted because he'd be a realistic signing. The price will drop, and here he is. Have you been impressed with this kid?
Yeah, I mean, he scored that goal at Liverpool. Well, he scored 2 at Liverpool. Unfortunately, one was ruled out by the VAR. But yeah, he's got pace, John. He's not just a goal scorer, but he does work his way around the pitch as well. So he drops back to help out. So he's not like a target man like what Chris Wood is. So yeah, I've been pretty impressed with him. And yeah, okay, missed that chance last Saturday, which was frustrating, really. But he'll learn from that. You've probably watched that back and thought, what I should have done was hit it left or right, and it would have probably gone in instead of trying to chip the goalkeeper. But that's how you learn. And he's only 22, so he's only going to get better, and he's nowhere near his peak yet. So give the guy a chance, And on transfers, I mean, yeah. It proved on the last day of the window, we tried to get Maitland-Niles. He was keen to come to Newcastle. Arsenal said no and sent him to Southampton. So that's shown you that people don't want to do business with us. The same with, apparently we went in for Tielemans last day of the season, last day of the transfer window for 25 million. That was ignored. That's Leicester's fault now because they've got a player they're going to lose for nothing next year. So, for turning down, not taking a £25 million for him now, that's it. He's gone for free next year because in January you can speak to clubs abroad and sign a pre-contract agreement, or he can wait till June and let his contract run out and join another Premier League team. Same with Maddison. They could have had £50 million off us for Maddison. They kept turning it down. By the time January comes, he's got 18 months left on his deal. You ain't going to get 50 million for Maddison then. You're probably looking at about 35 million max.
I have to agree with that, man, because at the end of the day, right, I mean, we're not going to offer 50 million to Maddison again. There's no way, you're right. And Leicester trying to keep him. Look where they are in the league. They're in the bottom of the table, and they're struggling, clearly struggling. And I think if Maddison really wanted this move, he would have put a transfer request in, then come to Newcastle. Yes, he would have lost his bonus as well, but he'll get off Newcastle anyway, Adam.
Well, Maddison was a bit of a weird one for the time it came out. I always felt like Newcastle were just trying to get one over Leicester. Now, the problem with Leicester at that moment, the window was they didn't sign anyone. They were the only team in the league not to make a single sign. So, with a chance of £50 million on the table, it's kind of an incentive to Leicester saying, well, listen, there's a bunch of money now. You can go out and buy some players. We want Maddison off you. So, I think Newcastle were quite smart with how he went around that one. I think the club was, I wouldn't say cheeky, but I think the club probably did go below Leicester's value because they thought it was an opportunity where they can just get him for a cheaper deal to benefit us, which is obviously how business works now. The thing with Leicester being is that I think Leicester wanted all the money up front, whereas Newcastle wanted to pay it in installments. So over a couple of seasons, Newcastle wanted to do it. But Leicester were like, no, we want the money straight up. And I think that's where the biggest problem came from. So eventually Newcastle just went, no, we've had enough of this. We're going for a different player now. And it's just, I mean, Newcastle didn't end up signing the midfielder in the end anyway. So for me, it was just more of a chance for the club to get somebody in for a value we wanted and sort of us desperately trying to get a midfielder. It was never really that case. So I think Newcastle just looked to get one over Leicester. I didn't really think of Newcastle were really wanting Maddison. It was just a chance to get a very good player for a good amount of money. So the best way I look at that one being is that Newcastle saw an opportunity and tried to take it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's how they do the business now. Like, and whoever comes in, we back them. Simple as that. I like how Amanda says she'd love to see the women's team reach the Premier League in a few years onwards and upwards. I miss Andy's comment as well. I think Andy Paqueta, Jason, Bruno, and him play every week in, week out together made a difference to his and Bruno's selection chances. That's for the World Cup as well. And let's go on to Jag. What do you reckon of Manson's in January? We kind of discussed that as well. Will he come to Newcastle in January? Tony, do you think? Or it's just all about the money at the end of the day? I think we could get him, but not for 50 mil. Nah.
I mean, apparently it's reported he wanted to move in the summer. But obviously I think he's the type of guy that doesn't kick off and ask for a transfer request. Which fair play to him if that's the way he is, you know. Maybe he doesn't want to cause a scene at Leicester. Chance to get them in January, who knows? You know, depends if we go back in for him. I mean, we could have done with him in the midfield last weekend because, you know, he would have been the difference in that game probably against Palace. But if we go back for him in January and get him, I'll be happy with that. But we certainly won't be paying anywhere near 50 million because, like I said, he's only got 18 months left on his contract in January. So it's going to be for a lot less. And also, where's Leicester going to be in January? Because for me, I think they'll still be in that bottom three, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I have to agree because they're not playing well at all whatsoever. And look, if they stay there, they're going to have to take that money off. As simple as that. Adam, what are you hiring lures on social media? And I tell you what as well, there have been some poor ones the last few days.
High lows in social media. Well, obviously the highs is the fact that I'm doing YouTube full time, so it's a great opportunity for me just to enjoy what I'm doing, speak my Newcastle out. Obviously opportunities as well where you get chances you can do things that you wouldn't be able to do if you weren't in social media. Obviously, for example, if I'm interacting with players and stuff like it's great. Social media is great. It's a great opportunity to speak to so many people, and obviously for the low as well, it's just when people are negative in social media, which is just how it's always going to be. But it's just mostly good, but it's the same with everything else. Everything has pros and cons, and social media, if you know what you're doing, it can be very beneficial.
Yeah. What about yours, Tony? What's your best moments on social media?
Best moments? I don't know where to start, to be honest. That would kind of caught me off guard. I would say just anywhere Newcastle United. Obviously, as I said, I'm doing quite a bit of stuff on INSTA Maximum, so that's just an opportunity and never get around social media. So that's definitely a high. With my YouTube channel itself, we're just going from strength to strength. It's always been probably the biggest thing for me. So yeah, it's just being able to interact with people. I would say it's been my highest moment.
Definitely. The best moments of my time, I've got loads of friends, like, you know, the best tweet I've seen, so you've got to take over. And the worst I've seen is them being negative sort of thing as well and having a pile on, which is absolutely wrong. I don't like bullies on there. I don't like people having a go at people. You know, if you disagree with them, move on, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely, John. And I've said this as well to many people. You see people go on there and have a go back at people and you think, don't play into their hands. If somebody said something about you, maybe DM them and just say, why have you said that? If not, just don't respond to them, because the more you respond to them on Twitter or Facebook or whatever it's on, whatever platform, the more they're going to hit back at you. Mm-hmm. And then it'll get to the stage where it gets silly, and then everybody else sees it. And to be honest with you, if somebody said anything about me, I would just say, that's your opinion, and leave it at that, because then they're stumped then, because you're sort of like giving them a question and then they've got to answer that. And it's like, so I don't bother half the time. I just let people get on with it. Or if somebody says anything wrong, I'll just say, do you know what? There's a block button. You know, I said something against Luke Edwards. I'm surprised he ain't blocked me, but do you know what? I wouldn't lose any sleep if I got blocked off Luke Edwards. I'd still sleep well at night. That's for sure.
Exactly. Totally agree, man. I like coffee. He's going internationally. Potter leaving for Chelsea could means weakening a top 7 or 8 rival in Brighton, but I still wanted to see Potter stay at Brighton since he is building a very good team. I think that's a good move for Potter, by the way, to Chelsea. It's going to be tough, but wish the kid well. Max has short hair, and that's going to take a bit of getting used to. I've seen that as well, man. He looks like a heavyweight boxer, doesn't he? When he looks like sort of Mr. T. But big up to him, by the way. And good evening to you, David. Hope you're okay, mate. I have a question with John, Toon, and Adam. Which stadium has the best food and drink? For me, I went to Milan, right? I had like a steak burger, loads of chips, right? And a can of Diet Coke, right? That works. It's quite expensive, by the way. Works at about £8 last time I paid. It was well worth it. What about you, Tony?
Best stadium for food. Well, food and drinks. The best value for food and drinks I got, I remember when we were in the championship first time round, when we went to Sheffield Wednesday, and me and my daughter went on Boxing Day. And we got a hot chocolate, a burger and I think a Mars bar, and I think it only come to something like £7. And I thought, well, that's really good value, because some places are a lot more expensive than that. So, and it wasn't bad, and the burger wasn't too bad. But I would say probably the best place for something to eat was Wigan Athletic, the DW Stadium. Again, that was on a Boxing Day, and food was quite nice there. And yeah, okay, it was a little bit more expensive, but I would say probably Wigan was the best one that I had, apart from obviously St James's.
Fair enough. Adam?
Well, I wouldn't really say best value in this case, because, for example, me, I've actually been in hospitality a few times last season when I couldn't get away tickets. I just go buy hospitality ones instead. So, obviously, value-wise, it's a lot of money to be spending. So, I wouldn't say it's good value, but you do get really nice food in some of them. I think at Leeds, for example, I got like a 3-course meal with all like fine dining cuisine. You didn't get fed up much, but I think the food itself, the little bits you got were quite nice. I think it was a salmon. Oh God, how was it? It was just bits of turkey and stuff like that. It was really nice. So I would say I think Leeds was a good one. Man City, just those sort of hospitality ones are great. So just any of them, you ever get a chance to go on them, the food, I think for the most part is normally quite good. So yeah, I wouldn't say value, definitely not value, but for good food, I like Leeds hospitality. That one always comes to mind.
Beautiful, beautiful. Guys, if you like the video, like what you see, then please have to all hit the like button. 88 people watching live. Thank you so much indeed. Please stick a thumbs on, hit the like button as well. Also subscribe if you haven't done so already. Please do some way from 3,500. If you like to super chat, then just give what the channel's worth. That is your choice. We're not going to force you into it. And if you like to become a member, click on the join button as well. It's 99p. On a monthly basis, it enters some competitions as well. Alan, as you were saying, injuries will play a big part. Where we end up, I think owners will be aiming for high 10th to 11th. That was achieved in half a season. Got to be top 8 for the full season. And was Adam says meeting with Eddie Howe outside the training ground, the turning point for his channel.
Well, I wouldn't say about it. I'm not too sure about a turning point. Obviously, that was big for me. I think that when Sky Sports ITV and Jim were obviously it attracted a lot of Newcastle fans, so it was definitely good. And I suppose in that sense, but it wasn't a point about that. I wanted to meet Eddie Howe. That's why I was there. And obviously, when he came back down the road, yeah, I still get goosebumps thinking about that. That was a great moment. So yeah, being the first Newcastle fan to meet Eddie Howe, yeah, that one's definitely you want to be telling the grandkids for sure. It was great, that one, but. I wouldn't say about a turning point, but I think it definitely had a good impact on the channel.
Yeah, nice one. And just a few comments as well. Ignore the haters, Adam. Shows you're doing a good job. That's in Davey. Jules, thank you, Jules. Hit the like button. Thank you, Jules. Good to say anything. Jag. John, what's your can of Coke poured in a wine glass? Now, Chippers keep saying that, right? Because I was in Italy last year in Rome, right? And I'm in a meal, right? And I had to put a glass of Coke in the wine glass. The reason being, that's the only glass they had. Simple as that. But then again, I could have drank out of the can. That wouldn't look good in a restaurant. There you go. But thanks, Chippers, for my man in this mate. Did you see Paul's story yesterday about meeting Sam Fender on the train? 2 YouTube stars are celebrities. I've never met Sam Fender. He is so popular. I think he's a great guy. And can you imagine Paul and Sam on the music on stage together? That'd be elite. Down at my end, would love it. Best in Scotland is a kiddie pie. Let's get this one. So I got a curry from Aston, never forget it, and colourful 1p. Wow. There you go. We touched on the season so far. I mean, Adam, I ask you, are you happy with the start Newcastle's made? 1 win, 1 defeat, 3 draws? Is it 4 draws, something like that?
Well, yeah, I think it was 1-4-1 as far as I remember the record was. I think it was that. So, yeah, it has been a very good start of the season. Now, when you look at the games individually, one by one, I think we have missed a few points here and there. Well, obviously, we should have got 1 point for Liverpool, but we were screwed in the game. Against Palace, we should have won, but again, what it scored in the stand, you just think, oh, for God's sake. So, we should have got 2 points for that one, but the other time you look at it, I think Brighton, I think we were looking to get a point from that one. I think Brighton were clearly the better team in that game. That's probably the only performance this season where I see Newcastle, I wouldn't say they were bad, but I think we were outplayed. I think the other 5 performances, I think, have been all very good, so a very positive start. It's not necessarily about winning games, but it's about the fact we're playing well, and you know when a team plays well and consistently plays well, you just will naturally pick up results, so... Yeah, well, if the Bournemouth game's on next week, you'll expect Newcastle to come be beat. I mean, let's be real, they're probably the worst team in the league. So if you can't beat them at home, I think we would have a bit of a problem there. So it depends whether we play them or not. But I think Newcastle's had a very good start this season. I've been pleased throughout almost the entire season. I think the performance has been good with the exception of the Brighton game. But yeah, positive start, and hopefully we can start winning some games and getting some points on the board.
Yep, absolutely. And Tony, are you happy with the start Newcastle's made this season?
Yeah, absolutely, John. I mean, Brighton's a hard place to go to, don't forget. So, to go down there and come back with a point, there won't be many teams going down there and getting points this season. I know Graham Potter's gone now, so they're looking for a new manager. And as I said yesterday, because I work with a Forest fan, they're trying to get Steve Cooper in as manager, but Forest said no. So yeah, whoever takes over, they may carry on the job that Graham Potter's done. But Brighton is a hard place to go to. We've never had it that easy down there. So to come away with a point from there, I was happy with that. Maybe it should have been 3, but, they could have scored as well near the end if Pascal Gross had his shooting boots on. But thankfully he didn't and he missed. But yeah, other than that, we've done all right. We'd be Forest at the start of the season. Draw to Brighton. We've done all right. I mean, yeah, we should have beat Palace last week. That VAR decision last week cost us as well because, as I've already pointed out this week, the push and that, and the referee, probably Lee Mason, hasn't given Michael Salisbury the best angle to look at, and he's hung him out to dry basically and made him think, oh, I'm going to make a howler here, and I've only refereed 7 games. He's refereed 16 years in the Premier League, so I'll take notice of what he's given me as guidance. So, yeah, we lost. Well, we got a draw at that game, but we probably should have won that game. Maybe we should have got a win against Wolves as well. We had done to Liverpool as well, because where was 98 minutes? That's in that whole game, there was 12 minutes of added on time. And there was not 12 minutes of added on time in that game anyway. Even when Pope went down with that injury, he was only down for a minute and a half. So it should have been 96 and a half minutes. So, again, we were done. Because as soon as Liverpool scored, he blew the whistle, Mariner. So we should have had a point from that game. But other than that, no, I'm happy with the start we've had. And, we've only lost 1 game so far. So, yeah, it's all good. And the draw against Man City, another great game. Fantastic game. When we went 1-0 down after 5 minutes, everybody probably feared the worst. And I probably thought, oh, God, hopefully this doesn't turn into 2 or 3 before half time. But, we showed character. And the good thing is, we don't demand a team that wins everything. We just demand a team that tries. And that's what we're doing. We're trying.
Well said, Tony. Well said, man. Absolutely right. That's all I want to see. Put the effort in every week, then we're going to praise you. If you don't do that with the effort, then you know what's going to happen. We just speak the truth. Will the VAR errors continue to haunt us for the rest of the season? If it does, can anything be done about it, or will we just keep receiving apologies? And all it is, right? They just don't want us to win anything. They do not want Newcastle United to win a thing. This is why they're doing this. Do you know what I mean? Because of the takeover, they don't want us to be in the top 6, etc. And you know what it is, right? I mean, like Toy said before, we're going to be a juggernaut. We're going to have our things our way. But yeah, only time will tell. And Adam, it's cost £6.10 and the speeding fine. Well, Paul, don't be like Lewis Hamilton then, because you're not Lewis Hamilton, by the way. I tell you what, he probably killed us as well, by the way. Paul loves us to bits, and he knows that, right? Like, he loves to get his hand on us one day. I'm sure he will. Has Sam Fender subscribed yet? No details for that question. I boss. Everything's big up Paul, by the way. And he's got a cracking channel, and he's amazing, by the way. Loving the bits, by the way. Got on this one as well. Leicester sign Fus from Ligue 1. That's on Tobias as well, because Adam said they haven't signed a penny on a new player, but obviously they have signed Fias from, I believe it's from, I think it's Rennes or Reims, I think. Poland something on stage.
Dutch defender, I think, isn't he, John?
Yeah, 6'1". He's a big player, big lad as well, by the way, and seems a good defender. Don't know a lot about him, but I heard things about him, by the way. Paul and Sam on the stage. I thought who's Wembley Stadium? Let's go. I tell you what, I take up that one, by the way. We're just missing that little bit of luck at the minute. When it clicks, we're good at hammering someone. Ian, well said, you read. We're in a better position than this time last season, Adam.
Well, yeah, well, it couldn't be any worse, to be honest. I think we only won, one in the first 14 or something. So, but yes, obviously we're doing better than we were last season. It's the first full season of the takeover. Not just the takeover has happened, but the complete mentality of the team has changed. I remember last season, one game in, the players were unfit. They were deflated after West Ham defeat. You can just tell straight away that the team is going to be in a relegation battle. So there's just the attitude of the players. They weren't fit to play, and it was just a shambles from the top to the bottom. So, yeah, it wasn't just about the points on the board. It was about the actual structure of the club as well, about the fans, about everything at the club. And everything this season's been a lot better. So, naturally, the team will get more points on the board. It was always going to happen. But, yeah, great start. And, I mean, I'm just glad it's not last season anymore, because the start of last season was just depressing. It was terrible. And, yeah, I think without the takeover, 100% we would have been relegated. So I'm just grateful that it's happened, and we are in that position now where we can actually look forward instead of backwards.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, so far we're starting really well. We'll be fine this season, 100%. Tony, question for you, man. Would the VR errors continue to haunt us the rest of the season? If it does, can anything be done about it, or we just keep receiving apologies? I missed your question, Coffee. I do apologise, mate. For me personally, like I said earlier, they don't like us. I don't think they keep doing it. What do you think, Tony?
VR errors haunting us. Well, it's not just down to VAR, is it? I mean, you know, if we create chances and put them in the back of the net, then we don't have to worry about VAR. So, you know, that's one myth we can put out. But I think now, after last weekend, after the 2 goals, I mean, our goal and the West Ham goal, they're going to be under intense scrutiny now that they've admitted that they were both mistakes and they should have both been goals and they should have stood. So we were done out with 3 points. West Ham were done out with a point, you know. Probably that 3 points kept Tuchel in a job for one more game, as it proved to be. But yeah, we need to be doing more in front of goal as well, and putting the ball in the back of the net, so to eradicate any VAR issues as well. But as I say, I think now it's going to be scrutinised a lot more now, so they're going to have to be very careful. And it says a lot when the appointing referees for the World Cup, and they said there'll be no VAR refs from England going to the World Cup. What does that tell you? That tells you how rubbish we actually are on VAR. I mean, as I said, you look at countries, Spain, France, Germany, Italy, every country around the world, you don't, or especially in Europe, you don't hear of these decisions going wrong and things like that. You don't hear teams saying, oh, we were done by VAR or anything. That's because these countries are using it correctly. We're the only country who's not using it correctly. And when we first had it out, FIFA did tell the Premier League, you need to use the monitors more because that's what they're there for. But they're not. I think the referee, as I've said previously, John, the referee should see every angle. So if there's 7 angles for that decision to be made for a goal or a penalty or whatever, that referee needs to see all those 7 angles. As I say, if it takes 5 minutes to get a decision, fine, as long as it comes to the correct decision. Because you can add that 5 minutes on at the end of the first half or the second half, whatever, it's in. Because had he saw that side angle last week, he would have thought of a different way. He could have there was 2 ways he could have done it. He could have said, right, I'll give it for a push on Willock, so it's a penalty and a yellow card because you got players covering. Or he could have said, actually, I'm going to play advantage and give the goal. So So at the end of the day, there was a couple of decisions he could have made there, but obviously he wasn't given the angle. And the same with the West Ham one. How that was given against West Ham is beyond me. Because as I said, I've played as a goalkeeper and I've come sliding out like that. And I've had trailing boots hit me in the shoulder. It's part and parcel of the game. You know, at the end of the day, if a player's running through and you've pushed that ball away from him and he's trying to jump over you, sometimes they can't jump that high to get over you, so they're going to hit you with that trailing foot. And, you know, and I just think Mendy made such a meal of it that he had been seriously injured when he was hardly touched by Bowen. And, you know, a totally legitimate goal was ruled out for West Ham. So, you know, it's not just us getting it, West Ham are getting it as well. So maybe they're frightened of West Ham jumping in that top 6 as well. But Howard Webb's going to be coming in from December. So let's hope our Howard Webb's ditched his Man United shirt. And let's hope he's got the neutral shirt on and he gives this far a good kick in, because something needs sorting out. Because what he's done in the MLS has been absolutely brilliant with the referees over there. And he does a weekly show as well, so that they go through the decisions that's been made. And again, over there, they very rarely get far decisions wrong either.
Crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. You need to fix up very, very quick and start concentrating a bit more. I was watching a video on Marvel and DC crossovers for this. I love the way all the Toon channels are having these regular crossovers in the studios, at the stadium, and charity footy. Cool. David said we need to put far behind and take our chances. Adam, I watched one of your videos when you got Isaac on the back. It was the right number. I can't remember.
Yes, it was. I had 40 in the back of the shirt and you turned out to be 14.
Good guess. Question for Adam. If Newcastle could sign anyone right now, who would you like to see come in?
Ooh, now, I would say a centre midfielder. I mean, I expect Bruno to be back for the next game anyway, but with him being out and the possibility of him potentially getting injured soon, I think a centre midfielder would be the biggest problem, because with John Joe Show's long-term injury, I think we were kind of one more injury away from being a bit of a problem. So I don't know who, because it's quite hard to say, but I would say a centre midfielder. So I guess I go for Maddison, I suppose. But yeah, just any midfielder that can come in and do a job. I think that's probably our biggest mistake at the minute with our, I wouldn't say a lack of depth, but I think we are in a bit of a crisis if we get a couple of injuries there.
Absolutely. We definitely need a midfielder. We definitely could do with another right side midfield if possible. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't think Jake Murphy's that great. I mean, he ain't good enough. You want to get in the top 8, win a trophy. Jake Murphy is not the player's going to get us in there. And Leon's youth player and challenge to go for Gusto right back to take over from Trippier in the future. And Cherokee won the right wing. Luke Becker playing with Botman and centre back. This would be the future to build up Dan Ashworth. For me, I don't know any of those players, by the way. I can't lie, right? Because I don't watch a lot of Ligue 1, by the way. And so what do you know about Ligue 1, Adam? Do you know a lot about them or not really?
Not really, no. I know Messi plays in the league. That's about it. I don't bother watching them. I don't think it's a terrible league. It's just heavily dominated by PSG, despite the fact that they didn't win Ligue 1 last year. They still expect to win it every single season. So, for me, no, I don't. In fact, I don't watch any football other than Newcastle, to be honest. So, no, I've got no chance to watch a Ligue 1 football.
Tony, are you a Ligue 1 fan?
Not a massive fan. I mean, I've watched Nantes a couple of times, and that's when I've come out and said Ludwig Blas would have been a good signing, because you would have got him for about 15 to 20 million. He can play in centre midfield, he can play up front, he can play right wing. You know, I think last season he got some like 12 goals and 13 assists. You know, which isn't bad for a midfielder. He's good at penalties as well. And I mean, for 15 to 20 million, you know, be a no-brainer if you want a right winger as well. But I've seen him play a few times, and he's not a bad player. But I don't really watch a lot of it, if I'm honest, John.
No.
You know, all I do know is I know he doesn't get off that bench very often, does he, for PSG?
Yeah. It just goes to show, doesn't it? Like, you go to PSG, you're on the bench every single week. But at the end of the day, you don't want to come to Newcastle, then I tell you something, we don't want you. Simple as that. And as for Dubravka, Adam, I mean, look, we've got this new keeper, haven't we now? Loris.
Karius,
yeah. Are you happy with that signing?
Well, as far as I'm aware, he has signed for the club. It's just a case the club's not going to put anything out during the time of morning. So I don't know when that'll get announced. But as far as I'm aware, he is a Newcastle United player. What do I think about him? Well, it's quite hard to judge him because ever since the Champions League final, he's never really had consistent games. So he had a bit in the Turkish league, and he was in the German second. I don't know where he was. He went to one of the German leagues afterwards. So
Yeah.
the problem with him being is that he dropped a very bad performance at the Champions League final. I know some people have said he's concussed, but the point is he's made 2 mistakes in the game that's led to 2 Real Madrid goals, and that was ultimately the reason why Liverpool lost the game. So for a goalkeeper, I think it's a massive confidence dip. It's going to be very hard for him to come back from that. It's a case that Newcastle needed, honestly, just to sort him out mentally and make sure he's ready to play. There's no anxiety when he's on the pitch. It's quite complicated. There'll be a lot of psychology in it, but if he can get him going, then I think he's a good goalkeeper. Because I remember before the Champions League final, he did have some very good games for Liverpool. So it's just a matter of trying to get him back in and at least form, making sure he's confident. But that's going to take a lot of working from me. I think it's a back goalkeeper. That's just the point. When he's not supposed to play, he's just there as a backup. So I've got no problems with it. It's a short-term deal. If he plays, then obviously I'm not going to be the most confident person in the world. But that's a situation we'll talk about another time.
Yeah, wait till he plays, then we judge him from there. I'll come to in a bit. How many players this panel think we need? I think we need 3 players. I think you're right, Stan. We definitely need 3 players as well, 110%. When we see the back returning in a black and white shirt, and Man U don't sign him, and the World Cup was done, he's on a season-long loan. He's there for the season, and I'm done with Dubs. He signed for United, so bye-bye, in my opinion. That's from Jules, and we have worst keepers, Eddie Sort, Ut, Tony, Carrius.
Yeah, touching what Adam said as well. I mean, yeah, he had that, that bad spell at Liverpool, didn't he? And dropped down a couple of clangers in the Champions League. He hasn't played a lot. I mean, he played, I think, at Union Berlin last year, or the year before. And he's played in the Turkish league as well. So he doesn't look like he's had a lot of game times. But, at the end of the day, he's a backup. He's cover. That's all he is. While Darlow's out with an ankle injury. So, he's not going to really be playing on the pitch unless, say, we're playing in the cup game, maybe against Palace or whatever, if Darlow's still out and, we want to rest Pope for that game. So he may play on that game, but that's not till November. So, yeah, let's just see. But, I mean, at the end of the day, the guy's only coming in as cover, so I'll back him anyway, 100%. But, he's only on a short-term deal. So, anybody who's been a bit negative about it, well, who else can we actually sign? Because the transfer window's shut and he's the only keeper that's on a free at the moment who's out of contract. So that's all you can sign. So, yeah, it's cover at the end of the day. And we can't call Dubravka back till January anyway. So it makes sense in my eyes. I think it's a sensible deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to have to back him. Yes, he done the cover claims in the Champions League. Cost Liverpool the game. In my opinion, you're right, guys. But we got to back him. We got to see how he does. I mean, you may have to play him in the cup game as well. If anything, give Liverpool a rest and see how he does there. I don't think you have to worry about Carriers dropping the clanger in the Champions League final for a while yet. That's in Ian. And centre back, CM, and right wing Jan. Do the panel agree? I agree with centre back. We're confident for centre backs, but central mid, definitely. Right wing, definitely. What do you think, guys? Gotta be.
Yeah, got to. The ideal right winger I'd like to bring in January would be Moussa Diaby. Now that's dependent on where Leverkusen are.
Yeah.
If they're still in the bottom 3 as well, depends how good of a World Cup he has, how much he plays in the World Cup. Let's hopefully he doesn't have a great World Cup, so we can get him for a cheaper price. Because I think if he has a great World Cup, there might be a few other teams in for him. So depends on what World Cup he has. But I would definitely have Diaby as right winger, and and Madison in the midfield if we can get him in. That would be a great signing. And if we couldn't get Madison, try for Tielemans on loan because he's going to be out of contract at the end of that season. So
yeah, man,
they can get a £5 million fee at least. So we'll get something less that, but we definitely don't need another centre back. I think we're well covered in that area. You know, we've got Lascelles, we've got Dan Byrne, we've got Botman, we got Shaw. You know, so we're well covered in centre halves. But yeah, I'd definitely say Madison or a Tielemans maybe, and definitely a Moussa Diaby at right wing.
Yeah, agreed. Diaby's a must for me. That's in Gareth. I can see Isak playing on the right when Wilson is back. We need a calm, either a CDM so we can push Bruno forward and the right winger, in my opinion. Back to Ian's comment. Adam, would you play Isak on the right side of midfield? It's got to be up front, surely.
No, I don't think he's ever played in his career, to be honest. So no, I wouldn't go all out and try and start players in different positions. I know Joelinton plays well in centre midfield, but I mean, no, it's a bit harsh to kind of put a player on the right hand side where you just kind of dump in the deep end. I mean, maybe over time, if Eddie Howe thinks that's possible, you might slowly work at the training well, but you can't get that sort by the time Wilson's back. Now, as for who should play, that was a bit more tricky because, well, you got a £60 million strike, or you got a Premier League player that you believe if he can stay match fit, you believe he can get double figures every single Premier League season. So it's quite hard to decide who should play and how we should play them. But for me, I don't think Eddie Howe would change the formation. I think it will always be one strike, and I don't see any of those two changing position. So yeah, I couldn't tell you much about that, but I don't ever see a set playing in the right, to be honest. I think it'll always be in a strike position.
Well said. Just got more comments before we go to wrap up because I know Adam's a busy guy. We need better subs as well. Without a doubt, Chills 110%. I think it means that's right side, not right midfield. Eddie Howe says in interview he's going to play left and right also, not right mid, on inside forward like Maxi. I've got bigger to Andy G. Bard or Weir. If the Queen's funeral ends up being on the Monday, do you think we'll play Bournemouth on Sunday?
I suppose it was born at a 3 o'clock Saturday kickoff.
Saturday kickoff, and it's 3 o'clock. But the thing is, right, if this is going to be 12 days, me personally, I don't feel like it's going to go ahead because I really don't, because it's got to be 12 days. And what does Adam P do when he's not vlogging? It's a lot of planning and research that goes on behind the scenes before every vlog a vid.
Well, it depends what video it is. For example, match day vlog, then most that's in the match day. I do a little bit of research beforehand just to find out stuff on the opposition, but that's mainly pretty much on the fly. As for other things, well, I think obviously during the transfer window, I do quite a lot of transfer news videos and we talk about individual players. Obviously, that takes a lot of research. You've got to look at the different players, look at the football clubs and stuff like that. It's not as complicated as you think. I don't sit here for hours and then trying to plan videos out and stuff like that. It's not like that though. It's quite flexible. I wouldn't say it's relaxing, but it's kind of like I'm sort of confident in Newcastle. I feel like I know what to say in certain videos and what to talk about. So it's not so much an issue. There's bits of planning. It's not as complicated as you may make out in that message. I don't think it's that in depth, but it just depends on what video and who it is, essentially. So I think it'd be quite flexible YouTube. So it depends how you look at it.
Beautiful stuff, great stuff. We're gonna wrap it up there, guys, because we say you could do an hour as well. And the Saturday, I know you've got to have your fish and chips, or on a Saturday, this is where you're gonna have. And we love getting Adam on there, don't we, Tony? I think this guy's brilliant. I met him lots of times outside the stadium. I guess lots of interviews on him as well. And he is, for me personally, in my opinion, Adam, do not give up what you do. Your dreams is being a full-time YouTuber. You've done a wonderful, wonderful job. Hate to hear that. And don't ignore the hate as meet. You're doing a fantastic job, my guy. You really, really are.
I appreciate that, Colin. Thank you.
You know what I mean?
No, you do a great job, Adam. I mean, I've always said this. At the end of the day, I've seen a lot of people out there who question what you do and things like that. At the end of the day, you gave up college. You're following your dreams. You know, one day you want to get into media, which you hopefully will do. You do a lot of great videos out there. You go out there all hours in whatever weather condition it is.
Yeah.
You know, you're out there and you're keeping people up to date with stuff, which is brilliant. You do a great job. People who hate that are people who are jealous at the end of the day is what I'll say. So you can hold your head up high, mate, because you do a great job and carry on doing it as well.
Thank you so much, Tony. Obviously, it's great to speak to both of you. Thank you so much. More happy to come back on whatever you want. So,
Jam stuff. We love that. Hang on a minute, and we'll come to wrap up. With rumors about a fourth statue being commissioned, who would you choose? That's an Andy. Tony, I'll ask you first, because
Fourth statue. Oh, well.
Yes.
It's a hard one, isn't it, really, to think, because
Adam movies.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we could. I mean, I know there's a lot of people clamour for Kevin Keegan. Yeah, Kevin Keegan did great for us. I mean, when you think about it,
yes,
we were on the verge of dropping into the old, League One, and he kept us up, and then didn't just keep us up, got us promoted the following season, and then got us in the Premier League and got us into Europe within such a short space of time. And we nearly won the league as well. So yeah, I mean, Kevin Keegan is a good shout, but other than Kevin Keegan, I don't know who else you could put up there. Maybe Joe Harvey, because he won. He was the last one to win a trophy. So Joe Harvey, maybe that's that's another one. Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Really, because we've got Sir Bobby there, we've got Alan there. So yeah, and we've got Jackie Milburn, of course, as well. So yeah, it is a difficult one. So maybe a Kevin Keegan or a Joe Harvey.
It's going to be tough between the two. I mean, Adam probably pick Kevin Keegan.
Yeah, I think Keegan's probably the most, well, not sensible one, but the one everyone's going to say, really. Obviously, somebody who had a great time as a player and as a manager, somebody that Newcastle fans love, someone that's always had a great respect for the club. Obviously spoke quite highly and criticised Mike Ashley a lot when I had a chance to in the media. He never sort of head away from fans, which I really liked. You would say Kevin Keegan, to be honest, and obviously Joe Harvey's great and all the other legends going all the way back in the time. But I'm not that old, to be honest. I couldn't tell you about all the memories of them. But I do remember Kevin Keegan well for Newcastle fans now. I remember what people say about him and how people look at him. So yes, I can't really see how it would be, to be honest. I think Keegan's probably the most sensible one. I'll personally go for the one that everyone would see the most of.
Brilliant stuff. People say Newcastle United kid, getting Anna, man. Please subscribe to my channel, mate, if you can. That'd be fantastic. I'm some of the way from getting 3,500 people. That's fantastic. Thank you. And go ahead. That's an Andy, Kevin Keegan, kids peeling off Adam. That's a David. Keep on doing what you're doing, Adam. We're a fan to support you, buddy. Keegan from me and Mike Ashley to keep the bird shot off the others. Ian, man. Ian. If it was on a live show, pal, I'll put it on suspension, mate. Honestly. Listen, thanks so much for coming on, guys. And if you do like the video, like what I say, then hit the like button. Also hit the subscribe button as well. If you like super chats, then click on the $sign. Use the thanks option as well. If you'd like to become a member, then please become a member. 99p is cost. Adam, where do you find you? Can you give us a shout out, please? Maybe we can find you.
It's just my name, Adam Pearson. So you take that on YouTube, you'll see plenty of Newcastle United content. Now, obviously, next couple of weeks will quiet down a bit, but I've still got quite a bit planned. I might be doing another video of ASM at some point, so obviously there's a little bit of a hint for you there. So yeah, I've got a few things planned. Obviously, the Great North runs on tomorrow, so I might do a vlog for that. I haven't really sort of planned anything else for that yet, so maybe it just depends how things are really. But expect more content throughout the next couple of weeks and whenever Newcastle return. Obviously we'll be back with the games again, but it's just one of those ones where obviously you got to give it time, and then once sort of they come back.
Absolutely. And Tony, my co-host, where can we find you for people that don't know?
Yep, so you can find me down there on Twitter at TonyTooney31. If you give me a follow, I'll follow you back.
Big up. Thank you so much. The MG vlog. Adam P. I think you know you, by the way. MG, could you please subscribe to my channel, please, mate? If you can, that'd be amazing. Thank you very much indeed. And Ian, even the birds are voice, someone like Ashley. And I like coffee. Mike Ashley may suit the birds. And you know what? On that bombshell, right? Thanks so much for watching. And Adam, we'll be backstage for a minute or so. Nothing bad, but thanks for coming on. I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully, we're going to do the social media Muppet show. We're going to call people out as well. He does ridiculous tweets as well. And there's plenty of them in the past few days. I'm going to call them out. And I've got one for Tangi as well. A few days set for Monday. Thanks so much, Tangi. I appreciate that. It's a bank holiday Monday. Thanks for coming on. And I shall see you guys soon. Wait there for a couple of minutes. And until then, it's goodbye for now. And enjoy your day.